So like I said, the game itself actually has two separate stories, the one that was originally intended and the one that it became. Perhaps because the original intent of the game wasn't what it ended up becoming. And Scott has confirmed what we know of FNAF to have been right at a time. So what was the original story of the first Five Nights at Freddy's game? Well, in a Steam post talking about the games, Scott said, "You know, when I released the first game over a year ago, I was amazed at how quickly everyone found every bit of lore and story. And if we go over the previous theories on Reddit and YouTube, like MatPat's videos, we come up with the following. Before the events of 1987, 5 kids go missing when an employee dressed as an animatronic lures them to a back room and kills them. The killer hides 4 of the kids in the animatronics of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy while moving the 5th to another location or stuffing it into Golden Freddy." Keep in mind that at this point we're only looking at FNAF 1, so the kids don't have names yet. The killer then gets caught and convicted, but the bodies are never found, despite the suits leaking mucus and blood and smelling like rotting bodies. Then in 1987, an animatronic bites someone, removing their frontal lobe, which only causes more bad press for the company. Then a previous night guard known to us as Phone Guy starts recording his messages to train the one who would come after, potentially because he was thinking of switching professions or retiring. However, his retirement comes sooner than he expected when he gets killed by the animatronics while hiding out in a back room. Mike is then hired at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza as a night guard to watch over the animatronics, where he spends 7 nights, gets paid, but also fired for smelling and tampering with the animatronics, even though he had been given the memo of Employee of the Month just a couple days before. And that's where the original story ended, full of mystery and general confusion, which only made the series more popular as a whole. But before we get into anything further, let me just say thank you for clicking on this video. If you love the FNAF series as much as we do and want to see more videos like this, plus we have a FNAF lore playlist as well that's more focused on the theories and the confirmed bits of lore. Both of those are linked in the icon in the top right corner of your screen, so click it. You won't be disappointed. Then comes the next game, and the rest of the series, which expanded on the first game in such a way that made most of what we just said just fanfiction, but like canon fanfiction, you know? Since we know so much more now and the pieces fit together so much nicer, even if you have to bash them in with a hammer. So what is the current story of the first Five Nights game? Well, we'll go into it based on general theories, but I'll throw in some options in there as we go. Remember, we're looking at the story of the first game here, so details like the FNAF 2 location and circus babies are irrelevant, but will be explored in future videos if you guys like this one. Before the game starts, William Afton, working as a suit technician dressed as Golden Bonnie, lures 5 kids one at a time to the back room of a Freddy's restaurant and kills them, stuffing the bodies of Gabriel, Susie, Fritz, Jeremy, and Cassidy into the suits of Freddy, Chica, Foxy, Bonnie, and Golden Freddy, where their intense agony from being killed and ruthlessly shoved into animatronics allows them to possess the endoskeletons of their new coffins. William is suspected of a crime and investigated, but no bodies are found, so the charges are dropped, since they have no proof of foul play or any wrong part in his doing. This event, that becomes known as the Missing Children's Incident, ends up costing the company business and bad press. Then the situation gets worse when, in 1987, someone gets bit and loses their frontal lobe, which puts the company in dire straits. Then the player, known as Mike Schmidt, is hired as the security guard and notified via newspaper, the ones that are represented by the ones we see on the walls in game, and not by the company, that the restaurant will be closing at the end of the week. But as we would later learn, since we are the son of the man who committed those murders so long ago, we stay for the week and risk our life to try and set these 5 spirits free. We stay for 5 nights, unable to help. Then a couple nights later, we're fired for tampering with the animatronics, general unprofessionalism, and odor, most likely to prevent the company from having to pay a bigger severance package when the company goes under. The animatronics are retired, and our father continues to get away with the murder. It's also possible that instead of Michael, we play as Henry, William's business partner and at least previously part owner of the restaurants, the father of Charlotte, who is only mentioned in the books, not the games. As a victim of one of these crimes ourselves, we set out on the mission to help those that we could and scare William along the way, using the name of one of his victims, Mike Schmidt, as an alias to be hired as the security guard. He then tries setting the souls free, but is caught, and the issue is brought up to William, who, upon seeing the name, knows that Henry is after him. So he orders that he be fired as quickly as possible and with as many reasons as possible to ensure that Henry can't fight it. Thus the additions of general unprofessionalism and odor, which are honestly not entirely valid reasons. This gives William the idea to dismantle them himself, which he tries to do, hiding in the safe room after each disassembly, but that ultimately fails, having the spirits appear in their child form, causing him to go into the spring-locked suit to feel powerful, but getting spring-locked in the process. Then Henry, as the copyright owner, uses his position to seal off the safe rooms, trapping William inside for the next 30 years. But what happens next? Scott said in a post on Steam that MatPat did an excellent job on his FNAF 2 theory, getting almost everything right. And since now we know that some of these things are wrong, we can figure out what he got right. Out of the things MatPat proposed, a few things have been disproven, such as the killer, Purple Guy or William Afton, using a Golden Freddy suit. We know that he uses Golden Bonnie now, and that the phone guy being the Purple Guy was confirmed to be false in Ultimate Custom Night with his temporary mechanic for April 1st. So with that, what is the true story of Five Nights at Freddy's 2? After the missing children's incident where 5 kids got killed at the hands of William Afton using the Golden Bonnie spring-lock suit, the original Freddy Fazbear's location gets closed down, for the reasons we see in the FNAF 1 newspaper clippings. This is also the location where Charlotte, William's business partner Henry's daughter, is killed outside the restaurant, despite the security puppet keeping an eye on her. We see this location in the Take Cake minigame that features the puppet jump scare, as well as the security puppet minigame from FNAF 6. After some time, 3 years to be exact, in 1987, the company opens a new location with an updated look and roster, with toy animatronics fitted with facial recognition and a criminal database programmed by their technician, part owner William Afton. That's not gonna end poorly at all. The place reopens at a huge celebration with a new night guard, Jeremy Fitzgerald, taking up the night shift. However, after a week on the job, he gets his frontal lobe bitten by Mangle or Toy Chica, as suggested by our Ultimate Custom Night Deathline, and after his recovery, he is promoted to the day shift, leaving Fritz Smith as the new night guard, who gets fired after day 1 for tampering with the animatronics and his odor, leaving the animatronics as the only defense against the Purple Guy. They obviously just fail in their job because the killer is the one who programmed them. So, he's not gonna program it himself. Like, how stupid do you think he is? This dude is like a genius. He's not gonna program himself into a database to identify killers. No. Resulting in another group of murders that we can see in the various minigames. The night guard known as Fritz Smith seems to be connected to the night guard Mike Schmidt from FNAF 1 because of their similar firing reasons, meaning that this is probably the start of his unwinding scheme, whoever this ends up being, since he gets caught on day 1. Like I said last time, it's possible that this is Michael, but could also be Henry. We know that Henry's daughter had already been killed thanks to the Take Cake minigame, and that he was already worried about her safety since he had specifically programmed the puppet to protect her. So he has motive as well. But what about age? This is where it gets confusing, because we don't know Michael's age. He appears to be a teenager in FNAF 4, which takes place in 1983, and FNAF 2 takes place in 1987, meaning that he may be realistically able to be a night guard. But we can't quite be sure, since most of the time it requires a license and it can vary from state to state, and the individual needs to at least be 18 in most cases, which Michael most likely is, but I'm still not sure. And I'm sure a place that has had murders before would want someone with more experience than the newly 18-year-old son of the CEO. And William wouldn't want Michael close to anything that has to do with his murder spree. The other possibility is Henry, which would also make sense given that his daughter was killed by William, and now Henry would be looking for revenge, using the names of William's 5 original victims to scare him, hence the whole Mike Schmidt and Fritz Smith. This is probably more realistic since he would be older and certainly be able to forge a resume to say he had experience, but since nothing has been confirmed, it depends on how you want to look at the series. Eventually, this location closes as well thanks to the new killings after only weeks of being open. Yay! The toy animatronics get scrapped for being just horrible at detecting a literal kid killer, and the older, withered ones are put into storage and repaired for a new smaller scale location which opens later, thus starting FNAF 1, where Michael will definitely be old enough to be the night guard, but I still don't know if he is. It's up in the air still. I need confirmation, Scott. Just like, please, just throw me a single bone. One bone is all I need. Just throw it to me and I'll be fine. Now, there is something else that I would like to address. While reading up on old theories for this video, I kept seeing everyone using the odor line as confirmation that we play as Michael Afton. And while yes, if Michael was a rotting corpse at the end of Sister Location, that would make sense, we can't really use this as evidence. For one, I still don't believe that he is rotting. He just appears to be bruising all over, caused by Ennard constantly beating him from the inside, because, you know, those aren't his normal bones. And because, like, he would literally be a zombie at that point. I don't think that's where the series is going. But also, Sister Location takes place after FNAF 2, since in the end scene we see a burnt down Fazbear Fright, which opens in 2023. So this game has to at least take place in 2023 for that cutscene to make sense, meaning that Michael wouldn't have smelled bad during the first 2 games. There also has to be another reason for the odor that's on the pink slips. This is probably just honestly due to fear, because you're sweating profusely after narrowly escaping your death because of hyped up animatronics. Or it could just be that William is making up reasons for getting someone he knows is after him fired, or he just didn't, or someone else didn't like Fritz. It's entirely possible. Fazbear Frights opens in the year 2023, 30 years after the last Fazbear joint closes. It closed thanks to a series of tragic incidents where multiple kids were lured away and killed by a man in a golden body costume in 1985. The killings happened most likely in the safe room of the original building, and the intense agony suffered by Susie, Gabriel, Fritz, Jeremy, and Cassidy allows them to possess the animatronics of Chica, Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Golden Freddy respectively. After the purple guy figures out the animatronics are possessed, in an attempt to save himself, he disassembles the animatronics, hiding in the secret safe room to protect himself since the animatronics don't know what's there. However, by doing this, he unknowingly releases the spirits of the missing children, and in their spectral or ghostly forms, they go after him. This catches William off guard, obviously, and causes him to panic. In an effort to make himself more confident or scare the children, he rushes into his signature spring Bonnie suit. However, the spring locks are susceptible to water, and the room has leaks in the ceiling. So instead of helping him, this, coupled with his hesitation, has the spring lock mechanisms that hold back the robotic parts of the suit fail and snap shut. This causes William to collapse and start jittering and convulsing in pain as a ton of metal parts pierce through his body, but it doesn't kill him, thanks to the spirit of another victim possessing him, keeping William alive so that he has to suffer through this horrible fate, which we learn in The Man in Room 1280. A story from Fazbear Frights, ironically. Fast forward to 30 years later, in 2023, where the secret rooms have been unblocked and forgotten with time, until someone, presumably a third-party group, buys the building and finds the room with the still living William Afton in a Bonnie suit inside. Unknowing of the danger, the group decides to release the cool animatronic and changes the original Freddy's into a horror-themed joint with Springtrap as the main attraction. Little did they know, this was a horrible idea. This then leads to the events of the game, where they hire you as the new Night Guard. And as the Night Guard, presumably Michael Afton, now that he would have definitely be of age, you survive 6 nights and watch the place burn at the end of the week. However, thanks to some form of black magic or the like, you find clues and play mini-games to eventually release the souls of the original 5 animatronics, thus letting Gabriel, Susie, Fritz, and Jeremy move on. But not Cassidy. She has more important things to attend to, leaving 4 less souls for you to set free on your journey. The fire, most likely started by Henry, supposedly burns Springtrap alive, killing him and burning any remnant that would have been made thanks to the agony of, you know, burning alive. But we all know this isn't the case, thanks to the final scene from Sister Location. This also eggs me to bring up a point. What are the mini-games? Because we know that they can't exactly be real, but we need them in order to press the tiles on the wall to access the other secret mini-games. And how do we see these clues if these are meant to be flashbacks to 1985 to 1987? I don't know. Let me know your theories down below. I feel like I should try to come up with a theory on that, actually, because that's a really good question. How do we see these mini-games? How are we able to interact with them enough to cause good endings, or is it all just symbolic? But how would it have gone if this was the end of Five Nights? What if the Springtrap jump scare satisfied the community and there was no 4th, 5th, or even 8th game? Well, then it would be a different story. If FNAF 3 was the end, we would probably be playing as Henry instead of Michael, given that Henry had a personal stake in this since his daughter was also a victim. And this was probably intended since we can see the puppet appear on the cameras on rare occasions. Since we know from the FNAF 2 minigames that the one killed outside of the Freddy's restaurant turned into the puppet thanks to the jump scare at the end. And MatPat saying that and then Scott basically confirming it. Was the Silver Eyes out at this point? If the Silver Eyes was out at this point, then we would have probably guessed that it would have been Charlotte. But the souls of Gabriel, Jeremy, Fritz, Susie, and Cassidy would have been released, and because there's no need to hold a grudge if it's the end of the story. And William would have burned to death in the Fazbear Frights fire, no doubt started by Henry at the end of the game. The puppet would have also been caught in the fire, hence why it was there to begin with, to make sure that we didn't have any loose ends. And the story would have concluded in a nice, neat little bow. No illusion discs that emit high-frequency noises to alter what you see, no nightmare animatronics, no Fun Times or Circus Baby and Ballora, no pizzeria simulator, no VR game, no glitch trap, no Fazbear Frights books, and no soft reboot of the series in the VR game. And honestly, we wouldn't be making videos about it because it would have run its course and we would understand the story. While these videos are taxing, since most of the time we have to do our research thoroughly, and while I do pull a lot out of my brain because my brain is only FNAF at this point, we still make mistakes. But the games wouldn't need all this speculation and explaining since it would be cut and dry. So in a way, I have William to thank for my job, and the continued success of this channel and these videos, so I guess it's a good thing Springtrap isn't that scary.